Hello and welcome to the April 2026 Stamp Your Stash video. Our theme this month is Mother's Day and Spring Awakening. If you missed the announcement earlier this year about Stamp Your Stash, I'll link that intro video so that you can get all the information involved. We work 1 month ahead all year long so that we have cards ready to send the following month. So we're in April, but we're getting cards ready to send in May. This month, besides Mother's Day and Spring Awakening, some of the sub-themes we used for pulling stamp sets from our stash are, anything mom, grandma, aunt, the women in your life, anything related to them, birds, nests, eggs, flowers, butterflies, those things that you start to see in spring when it starts to get warmer. I certainly hear the birds chirping a lot louder here right now. And then things like graduation is in May usually, and Cinco de Mayo. So anything that you might think of that you want to send cards for in May, that's what we should be working on right now. And then of course, anything like birthday and sympathy and some of those thank you cards, things like that you would want to have on hand. So I'm sharing the cards that I created to give you just some ideas or ways that you can use things from your stash or any of your newer sets. Hopefully this will give you a little bit of inspiration and ideas. I will be showing you the cards that I created as well as the stamp sets that I used. Okay, so the very first card that I made here, I did a happy birthday card because I have a lot of birthdays coming up in the next couple months here. This is using the Heartfelt Thanks set from Stampin' Up. This is a 2005 set. It is a two-step stamping set. So I just did Fresh Freesia and Pretty Peacock together for my background. This was one where it looks kind of neat if you don't have them lined up perfectly. In fact, they don't really line up perfectly, the different two-step stamps. But it made kind of a neat background. And then I also embossed that background and just added a few more little layers here. So that's the first card. For my second card, I used this Because I Care Hostess set. It just has one hydrangea, like a big hydrangea flower, a single flower, and a couple of sentiments. And I used the big hydrangea. I used a die that I have in my stash and a sentiment that says thank you. That was from a different set. I did use a technique called ink smushing to color this. So it kind of looks a little bit messy. That is my technique video for this month. So you can check that out on my channel as well. I go over several different ways that you can do ink smushing. So I think it gives kind of a fun, different technique, a little bit watercolory, but that is my second card. For the third card, I used this Swallowtail stamp. It's just one large stamp from Stampin' Up. Now, I realize that butterflies typically don't come out right away this time of year. It sometimes takes a little bit longer for them to show up. But, I think of all the new things that start to show up, the eggs and the baby turtles and the baby ducks and things like that. And butterflies just kind of hit that spot for me as well. So I did use that and I made this card. It's a wishing you a day filled with many happy moments. I used that sentiment from this branching out set. I really like to use this set for the sentiments. So that's where that came from. I did a couple different techniques on the butterfly. In my last two technique videos, I showed how to do stamping with markers, and that's how I did the black part of the body. I used a water-based marker to color that in, and then I also talked about ombre stamping in one of the months. So I did ombre on the leaves. I did peach pie, calypso coral, and melon mambo for this swallowtail. So I tried to do kind of an ombre look and added a few little gems. Added a branch in the background there for some interest. And sticking with the butterfly theme here, I used the sketch butterflies from Stampin' Up. And what I did was I did my ink smushing technique all over a piece of watercolor paper using some yellows and oranges and kind of that like melon mambo color, and then stamped the sketched butterflies over the top of that after I did all my ink smushing. So I have a really nice various different colors and splotches and shades, and then use the dies to cut those out. So kind of gave those butterflies a really neat effect, and then just used some peach pie and calypso coral for the other details here. And then this Love and Hugs comes from the Greenery Lane set. I just love this Simply Zinnia set. I think these flowers are so pretty, and I love that they have the dies that come along with them. So I did use that to make a thank you card. Now, I do want to say I did not find anything in my stash that said Happy Mother's Day, so I don't have any cards that say that, but I was thinking, I really tried to think about, okay, when I send my mom and my mother-in-law a Mother's Day card, which ones do I, what would I want it to say? And I think something like Love and Hugs would be perfect. Thank you wouldn't necessarily be, but I think this card, maybe with a different sentiment, would be a really pretty Mother's Day card. So just an idea there, but all I did was just use a little designer series paper, a strip of white cardstock that I embossed. I used a long sentiment strip with that little sentiment here, and colored my flowers in with the alcohol Stampin' Blends markers. And speaking of stamp sets that I really love, this Nested Friends. I know I brought it out last month and made a card with it, but I couldn't help bringing it out again this month. Just thinking about the birds and they're laying eggs and things like that. But I love this stamp set and how it always just turns out so pretty. And also, speaking of Mother's Day, I was thinking that this would make a really nice Mother's Day card. I used the sentiment again from Branching Out, the Sent with Lots of Love. I think that would be really nice for Mother's Day. And I just think this turned out really cute. A little, kind of a nice little spring card. Little bird watching over her eggs. And speaking of birds, I also have this sweet Songbirds stamp set that I think turns out really cute, and it has the coordinating punch, so you can punch out the big bird with the different body parts, the breast color there, the beak, and the wing, some of the different things that you can put together. And I made a little note of thanks with that one, with a little sign hanging from its branch. It's sitting in its little nest there, some little music notes. I thought that was pretty cute. And the other thing that we were thinking about for this month was graduation, and I didn't really find anything that I wanted to work with for graduation this month. And so if someone sends us a graduation announcement and I need a card, I will come up with something. But so, something specifically that says Mother's Day, I didn't come up with, and a specific graduation card I didn't. But I do have this really cute Taco Fiesta set. And so I thought, with Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May being, in the month, I thought I would make a couple cards with this. So I colored these little images with alcohol markers and fussy cut them out. I did this one just kind of simple with the granny apple green background in an embossing folder, and then just put them up on a circle. So long time no taco. And then this one I did a little bit more busy because it's a birthday card. Holy guacamole, it's your birthday. So I have all the little characters with their little faces stamped on them. Kind of some of them popped out at different levels. And I'll also point out this background that I did is also an ink smushing background. That is my Stamping Techniques video for this month, so check that out. I thought that made just a really quick kind of fun background, a fun pop of color back there. So, all right, and that is my Stamp Your Stash video for the month of April. I hope that you were able to maybe pick up a few ideas so that you can jump into your stamp stash and pull out some of your different sets to play with. Maybe some of these layouts or color combinations has inspired you to go create something. So if you do follow along and play with any of these ideas or stamp your stash, I would love to see what you're working on. If you post your things on your social media, please tag me at Leah Faye Handmade. I would love to see what it is that you're creating these days. Again, if you haven't heard of Stamp Your Stash, I'm going to link that video down below and probably a little card up in the corner. So if you want to go and watch that intro just to get an idea of what it's all about, feel free to do that. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.